Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel Legendary unboxing. This is for 2099, also referred to as Marvel 2099. This is the possible cyber future of the Marvel Universe. And it's had, lots of people might know Spider-Man 2099 from the, Into the Spider-Verse cartoons, the comic books where he's frequented as he's come past the all that Spider-Verse comic book, Spider-Geddon, and all that stuff. But there's actually some other really cool characters in this series. It's a really neat take. The overall plot, essentially, more or less, is that there are no heroes in the future. Everything's run by cyber corporations. And basically the rich control the upper area, the bottom, like below, are like the dregs. And then eventually heroes slowly start appearing for various reasons. Spider-Man takes after the mantle of Spider-Man. Then we get a Hulk, we get a Punisher, we get a Ghost Rider. Then eventually, like, they start adding more and more characters, like Fantastic Four and X-Men. Doctor Doom's a big part of it. Yeah, so it's really cool. And then some of the villains start also mimicking the old things that you already got. Venom 2099. Lots of the characters do end that. They're like, this character 2099 is how they reference almost everything. So it's a really neat universe. They went back to it several times in the comic books, adding and changed stuff during the Secret Wars storyline. They went back and they added the Avengers. We had different versions of Black Widow, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Captain America. Some cool stuff there. The X-Men went back several times, crossed over with that. So it's been really neat. Plus the Exiles comic books, which I'm a huge fan of alternate reality stuff. They jumped over that for a while. They actually had Miguel helping them out for a while. Whole timeline mess up thing. It's a different Miguel than the one that appears in the other Spider-Man comic books. It's a divergent timeline version. It's interesting, but yeah, it's just kind of cool with that. Yeah, so it's gonna be a neat set. One thing that's very interesting is that we have the 5 characters. We have 5 main characters. When the series first started off, we had Spider-Man 2099, Ghost Rider 2099, Doctor Doom 29, and Punisher 29 were the first 4 series. So I honestly just assumed Punisher would be in here. He unfortunately is not. Jack Gallows does not make his debut in this set. Hopefully they'll maybe come back to this in a different thing, because there's a lot of other cool 2099 characters that would be neat to have. So I'd love to see a sequel to this set. And then the second when like the second wave came around, we got 2 of the other characters we do have, which are Hulk 99 and Ravage 2099. Ravage is more or less a new character. I think it was based off a design of an old obscure character, but this version's again very different. Alright, let's look at the rules quick. We have fan favorite, Marvel 2099. Normally I don't read all this because it's actually kind of interesting to go with what's going on in here. Corporations like Alchemex, these mega corporations, ruthlessly exploit workers in the endless servitude, dulling their minds with propaganda and vapid cyberspace entertainments. Unrelenting industry pollution warps the lands in the noxious hellscape. Cybernetically enhanced forces brutally crushing a resistance to corporate rule. Ancient heroes like the Avengers and Asgardians are worshipped by the desperate and distant memories. So we're going to get Marvel Knights and Spider-Friend characters in here. But now a cutting-edge generation of heroes arises, working in the shadows to reclaim the bygone mantles. Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and the Hulk. They build resistance networks, undermine corporation rule, and infiltrate cyberspace, and sometimes just smash. Alchemic executive Paul Philip Ravage starts to question his corporation's motives. In return, he's betrayed by the mutating a horrifying, brutally new form, Ravage, which they don't list on there. And then the original Doctor Doom was torn through time and resolves to crush mega corporation himself and reclaim his kingdom and restore the rule of its own iron fists. So that's really neat because it's actually the actual Doctor Doom, although he questions it like the entire series. It's one of my favorite series out there. So we have some new keywords. We have cyber mods for heroes. In 2099, weak organic flesh is quickly becoming obsolete. Desperate heroes work with underground hacker docs to augment their bodies with cybernetic enhancements and unleash new power, represented by the new cyber mod keyword Some say Cyber Mod Tech, draw a card. You may use Cyber Mod ability only if you have a card listed in your hero class in your victory pile. So this is kind of neat because normally you don't. There's no general easy way just to put cards in your victory pile. There are some workarounds though. Which is likewise, you can use Cyber Mod 3 blue to get +2 only if you have at least 3 of them in your victory pile. Here's your Cyber Mod have way to send card undercover to help you put card right into your victory pile and activate your Cyber Mods. Note, undercover means to put a card into your victory pile. It's first debuted in Black Widow, which I think someone corrected, it's like first debuted in the Shield set. Black Widow reintroduced it. So it's in a couple of other sets, so it's a cool crossover for that. But I think the undercover cards that go undercover usually have the ability to like come back out from undercover. So there's ways to pull them back out later if you needed them. Cybertech infused Hulk 29 with Gamma Rays, which pushes pain under the surface, channeling, giving them more stronger strength and rage. Accordingly, Hulk 2099 can send wounds undercover and use Cyber Mod wound the same way. Enemies also get Cyber Mods, of course. The Corporation and Bounty Hunters and Enforcers in 2099 also enhance their abilities with deadly cybernetic tech and often stabbage from captured victims. It might say something like Cyber Mod 3 Red. This villain gets +3 attack. Villains and masterminds use the Cyber Mod abilities only while there is a card listed in the hero class in their escape pile. Likewise, villains can fight Cyber Mod tech, KO one of your heroes, yet only if there is a tech hero in the escape pile. Villain escapes the city as a captured hero. That hero stays in the escape pile and can help activate all enemy Cyber Mods. Cyber Mod enemies also have a way of putting cards directly in the escape pile. So there are heroes that have different ways to put it in there, including undercover. Villains are going to either be able to capture enemies and leave with them to get them into the escape pile, or they're going to have other ways to maybe go, maybe they just KO a guy and or instead of KOing, they just take him to the escape pile. So they have different interesting ways that way. We have Faded Future. Marvel 29 shows a chilling vision of what could come to pass if the characters in the Marvel Universe don't change Earth's fate. Sometimes fate can seem inevitable, until someone finds the courage to turn to the future in a new direction. This is represented by the Faded Future keyword. You may put a card with Faded Future. When you play a card with Faded Future, you may put it at the bottom of your deck. This helps you draw the card again more quickly than if you discard it. Wait for your discard pile to shuffle in the new deck, and then wait until you draw the card. So we've had stuff where we got to put it right on top of the deck before. This is just letting us put it at the bottom, so it's not going to come as fast. But again, it also depends on how empty your deck is. Your deck is down to 4 cards. You're going to get this card very quickly. You just shuffle your deck. It's still going to be at the bottom. But it's better, again, than going to your discard pile, waiting for your entire deck to go through it, and then get shuffled back in, and then you have to hope to find it. You also increase the chance you will draw multiple Faded Future cards the same hand. So yeah, if you get 2 or 3 in the same time, play them, and all, when that turn comes back around, boom, you're going to get them all at the same time. Sending your heroes to other places. If you play a card that sends itself undercover or at the bottom of your deck with Faded Future, or another place, you still get attack, recruit, and other abilities. So if you play a card with strength and send it somewhere, you still played a strength card, so you get to use the strength draw card superpower. However, it is no longer one of your heroes or heroes you have. So you play it, you get all its effects, but then it's no longer in play anymore for effects that are looking for that card at that moment. Then we're also coming back to another returning keyword. Enchanted weapons. To corrupt the people of 29's faith of ancient gods, Ultimate creates false Asgardian gods. They combine nanotech and nuclear fusion to engineer jaw-dropping weapons that mimic the power of the fabled Mjolnir. Use the enchanted weapons first appeared in Legendary Fear itself. Also came back in Heroes of Asgard, I believe. So it's been in at least 2 sets. So again, something you can always combine these with. When you try and fight enemies that have some number of enchanted weapons, reveal that many cards from the top of the villain deck. That enemy immediately gains plus attack equal to the total victory of all cards revealed. If you have at least that many points as the enemy's improved attack, use them to defeat the enemy's normal. If you don't, you lose. You lose all points, you can't fight anymore with this card. You can still play and recruit, you just can't fight or heal. Whether defeating enemy or not, put all cards you revealed on the bottom of the villain deck in a random order. Once you start to fight an enemy, you can't play any more cards after it, please, to generate all the fight you can. Flipping cards for enchanted weapons to not in the game. If you don't have cards in the villain deck, shuffle it and keep revealing. So what's really neat about that, so how it more or less works is, if a villain would have like enchanted 2, when you reveal them, let's say they had 3 attack and they reveal another card with another 2 attack each. Now they go from 3 up to 7. So you have to have 3, which is printed on the card, to even fight them. To even attempt to reveal their cards. Then you have to have at least 7 to be able to beat them. So lots of times what you may have done was, oh, I have 3, I'm going to attack and beat this guy. Then maybe I'll buy a card or draw this or do this, and maybe I'll go defeat this guy. And you might fight one guy at a time, and this you have to save up all your attack. Hopefully you can beat him. Then maybe if you have enough to try another guy, you can. So it makes it a little bit more risk-reward thing. And then with the risk reward, we have fight or fail. Enemies sometimes say things like fight or fail. KO when you're here is do the fight or fail effect if you successfully fight that enemy, or if you try and you lose because of their bonuses. And again, you can't fight them though. You can't fight to fail unless you have enough to attack them. So again, if their attack is 5 and you don't have 5 to begin with, you can't even attack them to fail. Like, you'd have to have at least 5 you could attack them. Then if they draw anything, obviously boosts up their attack, and you don't have more than 5, you lose. You could, like, hey, I really would like to just do the spider fail to tail one of my heroes to reduce something onto my deck. You'd have to have at least enough to attack them. Alright, the last new thing in the set, well, not new, but it's a returning one again, is adapting masterminds. And I really like this as a cool idea. It's the Sinister 6 2099 and Alchemist executives aren't just single masterminds. Instead, terms team of arch-villains working together, adapting these different Master Strike abilities, which also appeared in Legendary Shield. Normal masterminds have a mastermind card and 4 tactics. Adapting have somewhere between 4 and 6 tactic cards. Number of tactics currently on top of the deck is the mastermind card. Keep all their tactics spaced up in the stack. Only use the rules on the top card. Ignore the rest of the stack. During setup, remember that whenever it does a Master Strike, it says adapt, and you shuffle the mastermind tactics and randomly pull on top. You might randomly pick the same tactic as previously on top, or a different tactic. Keeps bystanders. Likely when you're fighting adapting mastermind, you always fight the currently on top. Ignore the abilities and bonuses you're not on the top. Also, the fight ability says adapt at the end, so you put the tactic you just fought in your victory pile. Rescue any bystanders, do its fight effect, and then shuffle the remaining ones. Also includes epic double sides. Yeah, so those are really fun because it's a way to, like, hey, we have a bunch of these villains we like to use, but like we can't. They're maybe a little bit too powerful, or either too powerful to just be regular villains in the set, or maybe they're like obscure enough that it doesn't make sense to do them as villains. They make them as a group of masterminds, but then they're constantly switching around. So you're not just fighting defeat guy A, then defeat guy B, then defeat guy C. You might defeat guy A and have to fight B, but you might also got a master strike, and also have to switch around and fight someone completely new. So you might have been saving up for one guy, and then someone else will appear. So they're pretty cool, and we'll get into those. Alright, let's hop into the set. So we're going to look at our good old friend Spidey-Man, Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Harris, who's using his Halloween costume. So we get our first one, which is a common. We have 5 copies. We have Retractable Talons. This is a covert card. He's got the Spider-Friends team. And like most Spider-Man characters, he starts with a cost of 2. Just one attack. You may send this card under cover, Cyber Mod Red, covert, draw a card. As a geneticist working for Alchemist, Miguel O'Harris oversaw many strange DNA experience. He never imagined he would become one of them. Yes, it's a kind of another thing that's neat about the undercover mechanic, is that besides using it to trigger stuff like this, or if you're playing with like the Shield or Black Widow set to work with their undercover effects and stuff, is that it's also a way to thin your deck. Like, buy this 2-card copy regularly, right? It's going to give you one attack, then later on, hey, if you don't really need to keep drawing that card for whatever reason, you can just go ahead and undercover it and get rid of it. You wouldn't do it maybe the first time you play it because you might not have an effect that triggers off of it. Alright, his next set, we have 5 copies of Venomous Fangs. Another covert card with Cyber Mod 2, draw a card. Bad Megacorp manager, spread rumors behind your back. Worse, Megacorp ran splice your DNA with a spider. And so these two definitely work together. His next is uncommons, which you have 3 copies of, are a strength card, Spider Silk Webbing. 5 cost for 3 recruit. The next 3 recruit this turn goes on top of your deck, and then he has Faded Future for strength. So if you play another strength card, you can put this around the bottom of your deck so you might draw it quicker. 2099 may not be the friendly neighborhood, but it still needs a Spider-Man. And then his ultimate is Spider Sense Telepathy, which is an instant card. 7 cost for 5 damage. They're the top 3 cards of the hero deck. You may send one of them undercover. Put the rest back in any order. If you have another Spider Friend card, you may play a copy of the card you sent undercover this way. Yes, this is actually kind of neat effect. So again, 7 for 5. I like to look at this. Not bad, really, because lots of the other ultimates are usually like 8 or 9. So 7's a little bit on the lower, but Spidey characters always tend to be a little bit cheaper to play. And then his ability, 3 cards, put 1 undercover. So now this is generally only going to be really good in a set that uses the undercover effect for the Cyber mods, or again one of them Shield or Black Widow sets. In this set, you'll be able, if you put this in any other set, and like he's the only one that has this ability, it's not going to be, like, just in itself, it's not going to be that great. It's going to trigger off of his cards, but it's not going to help everybody. And then the Spider Friend symbol is definitely not a bad thing, because at least you have the option of using it. It can help theme the deck. Again, you could use it later in the game to get rid of like low-level cards out of the main deck. But again, you don't want to get rid of too many, because then you have to worry about losing the game. But it could help doing that. Or in a pinch, if you really had to, you could get rid of like a really good card, because you can play it right away. Maybe play something that someone else has, like, oh, draw 3 extra cards, or play somebody else's ultimate. Like, I don't know why you'd want to get rid of an ultimate unless you have a way to get it back, but it could be an option. The only other downside to this is, again, kind of depending on where you play him, is Spider Friends. He's the only Spider Friend in this set. So even playing this set by itself, he's only going to be able to trigger his own cards. So if one player's focusing on Spidey, you're going to pull this off fairly easily. But if everyone's grabbing some, you might not necessarily pull this card out and have a Spidey Friend character at the same time. So that could make it a little bit trickier to play. So I give it a little bit less of a rating for that. Alright, our next character is the Hulk. Hulk 2099, who is a big, giant, monstrous beast. He has tail and a fang. He don't show his tail on any of these cards, which disappoints me. He's got like a giant, like, mullet in the back. All them teeth, giant tongue. Much more bestial-like than the standard Hulk. But he has Rage Incarnate, so he's part of the Marvel Knights team. Instinct, 3 for 2 attack. Cyber Mod Wound, you get +1 attack. Cyber Mod 4 wounds, instead you get +2 attack. Cyber Tech Gamma Bomb just made John Eisenhart a monster. His pain made him strong, his rage made him unstoppable. Yeah, this is interesting. So if we can use his other cards to Cyber Mod his wounds, or undercover his wounds, this will actually be a little bit more powerful. And if you get rid of 4 of them instead, he gets +2, which +2 isn't as good, but if it's a way for you to, like, get rid of wounds, that's not a bad thing either. His next common, which we have 5 of as well, is Push Pain Under the Surface. Strength card, 4 for 2 recruit. You may send a wound undercover in your hand or your discard pile. Undercover. Strength, you may send a hero from your hand or discard pile undercover instead. So at least you get an option. If you like to trigger which one you like to trigger, but the fact is he has a way to get rid of wounds is very helpful. Especially if you're playing a game where people can get a lot of wounds. And there's other characters and other cards you could team up with from other sets. You'd be like, hey, let me take a wound for this person, and then you can use this guy to get rid of them. So that's kind of cool. So like Spidey's maybe swinging in the background there. His uncommon, which we have 3 copies of, is a Massive Gamma Detonation, which is a tech card. 6 cost per 5 attack. To play this card, you must discard 2 cards or gain a wound. Play attack Fated Future. Sometimes fate bursts through a single explosive moment. So now this is really cool then, because right, discarding cards isn't that great, but like gain a wound. As long as you have the other card, you can keep gaining a wound. But if you decide, oh, I don't have a wound, or I don't want to gain a wound for whatever reason, you can always discard 2 cards. Not always the best thing to do, but it is pretty decent. Then his ultimate, Cataclysmic Frenzy, which is another strength card, 8 for 4. So just that in itself is pretty terrible, right? We just said 7 for 5 was pretty good. So you have up a cost and lower a strength, that's not. So let's see if his effect kind of helps that. For each player, either send a wound from that player's discard pile on your cover into your own victory pile, or that player gets a wound. Cybermog wound, you get +1 attack for each wound in your victory pile. So potentially, this could again be very, very helpful. Even if you're not playing with any other undercover stuff, that's fine, because he's only doing it for wounds, so it's not affecting any of the rest of that stuff. The fact is he has a way to basically heal everybody else. Potentially, again, they have to be in their discard pile, not in their hand. But yeah, you could possibly play this at the right moment, heal everyone 1 wound, or most 3 players 1 wound, or however. And that just makes this card even more powerful. And it only needs to really trigger once. Like, they do it once, and then the Cybermog wounds automatically. Play the rest of his cards, again, they're going to get very good. The thing is, if he's the only one that can move wounds undercover, that automatically makes this card a lot harder to play. Because, like I said, Spider-Man would be hard in any other set. This might be even hard to do in this set. He's the only guy that can do the wounds. There's no other way to move wounds under, except with the 2 Hulk cards. I mean, you almost exclusively have to be looking for just plain Hulk cards to make this beneficial. Like, right, by itself, it's not bad. Like, right, you play it once, you might get lucky and get 2 or 3 wounds under there, which makes it a 5 or 6, which 5 or 6 for 8's not bad. But like, right, we just had for 6 cost, we had 5, right? So if you're only getting up to for 5 for the cost of 6, why would I do this one, right? Essentially, I mean, and then because I also think the ultimates, most games I play ultimates, I've rarely ever got them out more than, at most, like 3 times. So, like, if this effect I have to, first time, it's not going to really do me that good by itself. And then, like, maybe the second time, it might be a little bit better. By the third time, it could be pretty epic. Now, again, if you're using the other Hulk cards, you can have this stacked up ahead of time by the time you buy it. But then you have to make sure if you're doing the moves with this Hulk that you get the card and someone else doesn't buy it. So it's interesting. It's a cool effect. It's neat. But again, if there aren't other characters that can do this wound, it makes him really, like, you almost have to keep just only buying Hulk cards, which I think defeats the whole purpose of everyone buying these cards. Alright, well, let's hop into our next character. We're going to go into Ravage. Kind of like the unknown. He was sort of like the, hey, people don't really know, kind of like a brand new character. So, down in the dregs, also a Marvel Knight character. He has Instinct. For 3 costs for 2 recruit, which is pretty normal. 1 Instinct, draw a card from the bottom of your deck. So, he's going to play like them faded cards you just put down there. As an ECO Central Executive, Paul Phillip Ravage believed in the Megacorps right up until they mutated him with biohazards and framed him for murder. Yeah, it's kind of he kind of like, hey, wait, this isn't right, betrayed them, and then they threw him like into like the wasteland, and then like, yeah, he didn't expect him to come back. He basically becomes like an anti-hero, like trying to fight for like the underdogs and stuff. And over time he mutates, which is kind of cool. He gains extra powers. It's a really interesting series for like kind of an unknown character. He's not like related to, like, again, like the Hulk or Spider-Man, which you kind of theme with old characters. His second common is we have 5 copies of his Toxic Mutations. He's a strength card, 5 for 2+, which isn't that great. But if you have another strength card, you get 2 attack, which makes it 4, which is pretty good, and Faded Future, which you just saw his last card. It means he could play this. If you play another strength card, he plays this Faded Future, put it on the bottom, and then if you play another instinct with this, right, then you would end up being able to draw that card and be able to use it right away. Although just looking at that means it's a 4-card combo you have to pull off, which with no dual colors isn't as easy, but if you have some dual color characters from other sets, that could be pretty quick. The millions killed by Megacorp, pollutants can't fight back. Now Ravage is out to get revenge for every single one of them. Awesome. 3 copies of Detect Vibrations, which is a covert. Reveal the top 2 cards of the villain deck and put them back in any order, and then Faded Future. A Dark Destiny approaches, but for whom? 6 cost for 4 attack. In fact, you can restack the villain deck to be very helpful. Oh crap, Master Strike or Steam Twist is coming up. Put them back. You can't put them back on the bottom, but at least you can have an idea what's coming up next. Like, guys, we really have to deal with. Like, we have a guy that's gonna like move forward 2 spaces right away, so we have to get rid of empty a space. Like, it can be very helpful at times. Sometimes you're just seeing the future and so you know it's gonna hurt, but you can maybe brace for it. His ultimate is Overhorns and Underhorns. This is when he fully starts to mutate in like a beast form. He gains his big giant horns and more claws and stuff. He uses less like tech and items like that, and he's more brute strength. I don't remember if he has any other abilities, like other than enhanced senses or not. But this is an instant card, 8 for 3, which if Hulk's 8 for 4 is bad, 8 for 3 is even worse. But it says reveal the top card of your deck. You get plus attack equal to that card's cost, discard it, or put it back. So this could be very good, could be very bad. Like, right, because you don't have any idea what's on the top of your deck. You could end up drawing a 0 starter card or a 1 or a 2. Probably not a 1, but you could draw like a 2 or a 3. Which brings it up to like 5 or 6, which again is not the best. Not terrible, I guess. But you could also draw like a 7 or an 8, right? And boost this way up. So it has potential. And I think it really gets better with his Marble Knights. Superpower, do the same thing with the bottom of the deck of your cards. With the Faded Future ability, you can kind of stack that ahead of time. So now he only has 1 card. He has 2 cards and he has a 6 he could put down in there, right? This card's maybe not the best to begin with. Like, that's a cool ability, but it's not super effective. Because you're not affecting it too much. But imagine if you played this, right? And you got your 6, and then you played this afterwards. Now we have 9, plus whatever's on the top of the deck. And there are other cards you could combine with this again that could stack the top of the deck. So this could be very good. Just playing it without, the fact you're going to have to at least reveal that. The top one, since you're just going to go up something, but you have no idea. And if you're just randomly picking the bottom, again, you have no idea. So it's kind of risky. But that Faded Future gives it at least an option. And with so many characters in here, they're going to probably have that. You at least have some option of stacking it. Plus, 3 of the 5 characters are Marble Knights. So you'll probably trigger that Marble Knight's ability fairly quickly. Like Spider-Man, he's the only one. So it's a little less likely. And Hulk's had to do with Cyber Mod wounds. So it had to be that specific thing that only he can trigger, at least so far. Marble Knights will be a little bit easier to trigger, especially if you mix it with other decks. Alright, up next we have good old Ghost Rider. Alright, so Ghost Rider is a very interesting character in this series. Cyber Spectre, he's also Marble Knights tech card. 3 for 2 recruit. Cyber Mod tech, you get +1 recruit, or Cyber Mod tech 2, you draw a card. So it kind of combines with each other. Fatally Poisoned by the Demonics Megacorp. Kenshiro Cockring, sometimes known as Zero, uploaded his dying brain. Now he stalks the wicked through a terrifying cybernetic body. Yes, this is interesting. Like, he was dying, because he got into some, like, stuff. So he uploads into the cybernetic body, which ends up being, like, just Ghost Rider. So, you know, he's completely just, like, a spirit, essentially, inhabiting this robot body. So he's, like, in the old thing, it's like, the spirit of vengeance is inhabiting somebody else, and that's forcing that person, like Danny Ketch, or Johnny Blaze, or whoever, to do become Ghost Rider and do stuff. His is almost the opposite. Like, he's now inhabiting this body, and he's using it to carry out his own vengeance. So it's kind of a little twist. But he's also a cyber character. He kind of can't die. And he uses lots of tech items. He has this giant, massive flaming chainsaw, which is really cool. That's awesome. So then we have 5 copies of Hellride. Of course, he has a motorcycle. That's what would a Ghost Rider be without a motorcycle, right? So 2 for 4 attack, 4 for 2 attack. You may send this card and a card from the HQ undercover. If you do, get +2 attack. And then Cyber Mod 3 attack, you get +2 attack. He's open to hitchhikers. This is not bad either. Like, you can get rid of it, like, later on if you need an extra boost. Or if you want to trigger some of his other cyber mods. Or you can keep it around if you want to get the extra 2 just normally. But then you also use it if you need to thin out your HQ a little bit. Hey, we have a card that's been sitting there for a while we don't need to get rid of. Or that. The only thing that would be neat is if the undercover lets you put it in other people's discard or victory pile as well. That'd be the only thing that would make undercover, like, I think a lot better. If you could put it in anyone's victory pile, because then as a cooperative game, as a team, you could be helping each other out. Unfortunately, that's not what it is. His uncommon card, we have 3 copies of, is Death Beyond Death. A covert card, which does not really ever scream covert. 3 and then 5 for 3 attack. Marble Knights, you may KO a henchman from your victory pile. If you do, you get +2 attack, and you may do that henchman's fight effect again. I love this as a design. Granted, you have to play another card to be able to Marble Knights card to activate, but again, with 3 of them in the set, probably not going to be too terribly hard to do. But I always love the idea of being able to reuse a henchman's ability. Like, because some of them have some really neat effects. Even if it's just, hey, KO a hero, right? That's kind of cool that you could reuse that effect for something like, oh, I need to really get rid of shield agents or whoever. You could KO some stuff later. And then the fact you can empty out your victory pile. Plus, there are other bosses or masterminds or villains that sometimes, hey, if this guy's in your victory pile, do this. This will let you get rid of them. It's a way, at least it's a character that has a swim ability to be able to remove them guys so they're not in effect later. Awesome. Their ultimate for him is the Infernal Chainsaw, which is a tech card. 7 for 4, again, it's okay. But again, lots of just the standard by themselves. They're not meant to be super powerful that way, because it's their effects that make the difference. You may send a card from the HQ undercover. Great. This is going to be used every time, no matter what. And then Cyber Mod Tech, Faded Future, and you get +1 attack for each tech card in your victory pile. So his whole thing is just about cyber modding tech cards. Luckily with Undercover, you can put any color card under there, so other characters that have it, Spider-Man or whoever, can also be doing tech cards if you want to, so that helps. Faded Future means you're going to draw this a lot quicker, which that's, again, it's always one of the issues I had with the Ultimate cards. You spend so much to get them, you have to wait until you draw it, right? And then you finally get it. Yes, I get to play it. Then you have to go through your entire deck. You might get it one more time. If the game is going on long enough, you might get it a second time. But the fact is, because they're so hard to find, and they cost so much, is you don't get to use them like 5, 6, 7 times. It feels like I only ever got to use them like maybe 3 times at the most. Maybe if the game is going a little bit longer, more. But there's plenty of times I maybe got to use it once by the time I got it, if I was lucky. So the fact this Faded Future could definitely make this a lot easier to use. And then the fact is, right off the bat, just send a card undercover. If you didn't already have a tech card underneath for some reason, let's say you're playing Spidey and you're working on covert cards, or you're playing the Hulk and you're working on wounds, or whoever, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I need to hopefully there's a tech guy down there, you can just do it right there at that time. Awesome. And our last hero is Dr. Doom 2099. So he has this awesome new armor. In a world full of desperate needs, what people need most is to be ruled. So he has no team affiliation. Subvert this new future. It's a range card. 3 for to recruit. You may send this card and a card from your hand or discard pile under cover. If you do, get +1. So again, like kind of did Spider-Man, the early one, after you've used this a few times and it's not being as effective as it could be, you can get rid of it. And then get rid of something else. Get rid of some of your other starter cards. Helps thin your deck out a little bit. Even if like you're not playing with any of the reasons to use undercover cards, it's a great way to just thin out your deck. Kind of cool. We have 5 copies of Doom Blast. 3 for 2 attack. Cyber Mod range, you get +1. Attack Cyber Mod 3, you get +3 instead. The key ingredients are cutting edge cyber tech, ancient sorcery, arrogance, and contempt. That sounds like Dr. Doom, alright. He usually has the big D belt buckle. We'll see in the next picture a little bit more. But yeah, this is really, really cool, interesting thing. Yeah, so it's neat. Like, yeah, get them guys in there for that color. So we had tech with Ghost Rider. We had wounds, and we had some covert. So they didn't do a cyber mod for strength, and we didn't do cyber mod for instinct. So it's kind of interesting. So again, they can always do a second set of this later on. Bring this back and attack and try and hit up those other 2 colors. Our uncommons, we have 3 is Flesh Grafted Doombots. 6 for 3, which isn't always the best, but we have tech. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. If you do, send one of them under cover and put the rest back in any order. So yeah, really cool. Could potentially be bad. Because it's going to help you get cards under cover, but it doesn't boost up this one at all. Could help you thin your deck. It's going to help you thin your deck out. The only thing is, it says you send one under cover, put the rest back. So if all of a sudden you draw one, you have, oh, I have a shield card in there. Cool, I can get rid of that. Great. But if you play it and you end up drawing 3 cards you just bought for some reason, and you had a good hand, that could be an issue there, right? You might end up having to discard something you didn't want to, because it says you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You don't have to, but once you do, you have to send one under cover. So yeah, then this would be a little bit nicer if it was like you may send one under cover and then put the rest back, because then at least you didn't have to accidentally mess yourself up. But again, it's what it is. His ultimate is Tear Through Time itself. 8 for 6 damage. Again, it's not too terrible. You may send a card from your hand or discard pile under cover. Faded Future. And then Cyber Mod 2 blue range. If you haven't taken any extra turns this game, you may take another turn after this one. Don't play a card from the villain deck at the start of this turn. That's cool, right? So, he just automatically right off the bat when you play it, send this card from your hand or discard pile under cover. So you automatically get 1. So if you only had 1 blue, there's your second blue. Now you can activate Cyber Mod, Faded Future, put it in the bottom of your deck, so you're probably going to draw it quicker. I kind of wish that all the ultimates in a set had Faded Future. That would have been kind of neat. You're getting an extra full turn, which is really cool. I mean, it doesn't up your attack. It's one of the few ones on here that doesn't make your attack better, but having an extra turn, it's not going to make that big of a difference. The only thing is you have to end your turn, so that means all of like your cards that discard, you draw a new hand. So you can't like save up your attack from this, then have another turn added to that. Also though, it says you may send a card from your hand or discard pile under cover. Same thing as last one said that too. Send one of your cards. So he could work very well with the Hulk. because Hulk has ways to send wounds under there. He can send any card under there. So yeah, he gets a way to like help you get that the wounds in there too if you wanted to get rid of those, and you could team them up with the Hulk to do some nastiness. So that's pretty cool. Overall, yeah, I really like these heroes. There's some neat effects in there. I love that we're going back to a bunch of old mechanics and we're not adding 4 new ones. I'd rather have 4 old mechanics so you can combine with old games and then add like one or 2 new ones, which is what we did. Undercover's new, and like we'll have some of the other ones from the bosses. But yeah, like the mastermind, adaptive masterminds, and integrated weapons. But yeah, cyber mod is interesting. I don't know how often it'll reappear. Faded future I could see being used again. Cool. Let's jump into our villains. So we're going to start with Avatar, the CEO of Alchemech. So these are mastermind tactics for Alchemech executives. So he's the one that starts. He said, always lead Alchemech enforcers. Set up, add 1 extra hero to the hero deck. So this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool in the one fact if you're going to play against them. Hey, I did a fight against this entire deck, but I need another full hero in there. But we don't necessarily have another hero. I don't think we have another 2099 hero in the entire game. I'll have to look up for the end of the video to see if we had somebody else I just can't think of. Maybe someone popped up in Secret Wars. But yeah, then he has a Adapt right. So then after you set him up and you shuffle him so you're not fighting him necessarily right away. Master Strike, put the 2 highest cost heroes from the HQ into the escape pile. Then Cyber Mod Blue, each player gains a wound, adapt. Then fight, each other player puts a non-gray hero from their hand or discard on their escape pile, adapt. So yeah, if you Master Strike or fight him, he's going to put them guys in escape pile so they can use that Cyber Mod. But he's focusing on blue. And if we flip him over, he has a harder side. And it says the 3 highest cost heroes from the HQ into the pile. Each player gains a wound on top of their deck, so he's going to add more wounds. And then he goes up to 13 attack. We have the Fear Master, VP of the Public Eye. Public Eye is like the camera system that keeps track of security of everything. So Fear Master gets +1 attack for each gray hero you have. Master Strike, put the 2 lowest cost heroes from the HQ in the escape pile. Cyber Mod for instinct. Count number of instant cards in the escape pile. Each player discards that many non-gray heroes, then draws a card for each card they discard this way. So he's trying to force you to have more grays so he's more powerful. Means he's harder to take out. Then he adapts and fight each other player discards 2 gray heroes. Cool. Then if we flip him to the other side, now he jumps up to 8. Just +2 for each gray hero. 3 lowest cost cards from the HQ, and then the bottom ones he discards 3. So just everything goes up a little bit. John Haraga, the executive VP. 8+. Cyber Mod 2 Covert gets +5, so 8. Comes up to 13. Master Strike put the 2 rightmost heroes in the HQ in the escape pile. Then Cyber Mod for Covert. You may pay 5 attack this turn to expose fake Captain America. If you do, one of your heroes, KO one of your heroes. If you don't, by the end of this turn, each player gains a wound after you draw a new hand. Adapt and fight, KO 2 of your heroes. These guys have some pretty nasty effects. I think these Cyber Mod things are gonna, every time you do Master Strike, they're eliminating guys, so you're gonna end up probably having to deal with all their Cyber Mod effects no matter what. He jumps up to 9, gains +7, which puts him at 16 instead. 3 rightmost heroes. You may pay 7 to expose the fake Captain America. And at the fight, you KO one of your heroes. Interesting. So we have Tiger Wild, the general of the Alchemech Elite. Cyber Mod for Strength gets +1 for each Strength card in the escape pile. Master Strike, put the 2 leftmost heroes in there. Cyber Mod for Tech. Each player reveals a tech card or discards a card. Adapt and fight. Send the hero from the escape pile under cover. And adapt. That's actually not too bad. It's helpful. That's kind of neat. So like we had like one for each different element so far. It says except we don't. Looks like we have a range because he does both His epic, he goes up to 11, gets +1 for each, 3 leftmost. All his lots of subbles that stayed the same. And then finally, which again is interesting because we don't get Punisher in here, but we have Jigsaw 2099. Jigsaw 2099 gets +1 attack for each bystander he has. Ambush, put the top card of the hero deck into the escape pile. Fight, KO one of your heroes. Cybermod for strength. If Jigsaw has 20 has no bystander, he enters the city and captures a bystander for each strength card in the pile. A cyberscape, each player gains a wound. I don't think there's any way to get them guys out of that escape pile. And then he does not actually get an alternate side, which is interesting. Maybe he's just too powerful on his own. Pretty crazy. Alright, so let's look at our first set of henchmen. Or not henchmen, or villains. We're going to look at the Alchemectic Forces. We have 2 copies of Venture, who has 5 attack. He has Ambush. Put the top card of the hero deck into the escape pile. Venture captures a bystander. Cybermod blue. Venture also captures a non-gray hero from your discard pile. Fight, either KO that captured hero or choose a player to gain it. Interesting. These guys are going to really be thinning out the deck super fast for how much they're discarding stuff from the HQ and the hero deck. We have 2 copies of Wackoid, who has Cybermod, Instinct. Wackoid gets +1 attack on Cybermod for 3 red. Covert gets +3. Ambush. Put the top card of the hero deck into the escape pile. Wackoid captures all bystanders from all other villains in the city. If he captures any bystanders away, each player gains a wound. And then the last one, you have 3 copies of Cyber Nostra. Cybermod Tech gains +1 for each tech in the escape pile. Ambush. Put the top card of the hero deck into the escape pile. Cybermod Tech, KO one of your heroes. This is actually kind of interesting too, because typically you get like 2, 2, like 2 and 2, so you get 2 of each. So you get 4 different characters, or you'll get like a 2, like a 2, and then like a 1, and a 1. So you get like 5 heroes, or sometimes you have all different heroes. It's interesting because I think it's one of the few times I've ever seen we got 3 and then 2 and 2. So you get like the least amount possible. Very interesting. Alright, so next we're going to look at the other villain group first, because they tie into the Alchemix stuff a little bit more. So we have the false heresy of Alchemix, to the Norse gods. We have Thor 2099. This is a really cool little mini crossover campaign they had in a series. I think it was by issue like 13, 14, so around the end of the first year, beginning of the second year. It's called Fall of the Hammer. So you have Enchanted Weapon. It says Ambush. Each player discards a card that costs 5 or more, or gains a wound. Fight or fail. Put a card that costs 5 or more from your discard pile at the bottom of your deck, and repeat the ambush effect. I love that it's 5, because that's the same thing as Worthy from the Thor sets. So if you want to be Worthy, you have to have a card of 5 or more power. Just kind of a neat little throwback to that. But he just has a simple Enchanted 1. Then we also get 2 copies of Hela 2099. Who has some like Wolverine claws. 2 Enchanted weapons, 1 for each hand. Fight or fail. A henchman from the villain from any player's victory pile enters the city. Escape, each player KOs 2 henchmen from the victory pile or gains a wound. Up next, we have 2 copies of Heimdall 2099, who has an enchanted weapon. So they don't have like 5 or 6, so they're only revealing like 1 or 2 cards, so you can realize they're not going to gain like 14 attack. So Ambush, Heimdall 2099 captures a bystander. Fire or fail. If the Rainbow Bridge is empty, Heimdall's enchanted weapon reveals a villain. That villain enters the bridge. When Heimdall enters this way, shuffle a card from the bystander deck into the villain deck. So that's also an interesting thing to note, right? They look at the top card of the deck. It could be a Mastermind, a Master Strike. It could end up being a bystander. So you might not even have to worry about a villain. It could also be like a henchman, so it's going to be fairly weak. It could be a big guy like Thor who has 5 or something like that, right? It could be something a lot harder. And then we have like Ghost Rider had the ability to look at, or no, Rabbit had the ability to look at top cards of the deck. This could be good if you're up to fight an enchanted guy. Oh, you know they have to look at, they're going to reveal 1 card. You can at least stack the deck to give them the lowest number possible. Or at least see if it's something you can even deal with before you waste your deck. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, we have 2 copies of Loki 2099. 2 enchanted weapons. Ambush, strike a master, shuffle a master strike from the KO back into the villain deck. That's mean. Fight or fail. If this enchanted weapon revealed any master strike, play one of them. And escape, search the villain deck for a master strike, shuffle the villain deck, and play that master strike. That's pretty Loki-ish, but I mean, it's also really cool, like, lore for this character is, this is actually Halloween Jack, who is a mutant shapeshifter. So yeah, he, like, pretends to be Loki, like, for the whole thing, and then eventually kind of helps out the X-Men later on. So that's cool. Alright, so our last, villain, mastermind, is the Sinister Six 2099. So we have Electro 2099 to start out with. Always lead any Alchemex or Sinister team. So lead either the Alchemex teams or some Sinister groups, which I'm not sure how many there are. You know, there's always Sinister 6. Set up, adapt, you just automatically switch them. Master Strike, each player discards 3 cards and draws a card. Adept. Fight, you may discard any number of cards and draw that many cards. And he has 9. So we flip him over. Same thing on the epic side. But now he has 12, and search for a card and draw. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. Gives you a little bit less. We have the Goblin 2099. Gets -1 attack for each bystander in your victory pile. Master Strike. Each player puts a bystander from their victory into the escape pile or gains a wound. And adapt. Fight. Each villain in the city captures a bystander. So they're gonna try and steal a bunch of people. And then it just goes up and gets 2 bystanders. And each villain in the city captures a bystander. Cool. Dr. Octopus 2099. Just +4 attack unless you played at least 8 cards or a hero costs 8. I think this mimics the original Dr. Octopus card too. Each player disrupts or discards cards who cost at least 8 for that player or gains a wound. And in a fight, you may gain a hero from the HQ whose cost is at least 8. So he's playing with the 8s on there. I want to say the other one played 8, or did he do 6s? Here he gets +8 unless you pay at least 8 cards and cost 8. Each player discards cards who cost a total of 8. Or gains a wound, and you get +4 recruit. You will only recruit a crew that costs at least 8. We got the Vulture 2099, which is a very interesting version of him. Gets plus attack equal to the highest victory point value of any villain in the escape pile, rooftop, or bridges, where he can kind of access. Master Strike, if there are any villains on the rooftop or bridges, one of them escapes, and each player gains a wound. That's terrible, right? A free escape. Fight, you may move a villain to another city space if already there. Swap. Another villain's already swap them. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Swapping people around. There's harder side. The highest 2 VP values or any villains there gain a wound. So it just increases the stuff. I don't want to get too much into reading all of it because it stays pretty much the same. I do like to have the epic versions of them though, because they didn't do that for the other ones, I don't believe. Here we have Sandwoman 2099. Gets +2 attack for each villain in the city. Master Strike can either recruit or attack this turn, but not both. In fight, the next player may either recruit or attack the next turn, but not both. Interesting. Kind of slows him down. And then the harder one is just adds 3 attack. Then finally, the last one for this is Venom 2099. Gets +1 or -1 attack for each card you have that costs 2, which is a very Spider-Man card. Master Strike for each player KO a card that costs 2 from their hand or discard pile or gains a wound. And fight, you may gain a hero that costs 2 from the HT or KO pile. Ooh, from the KO pile. That's kind of fun, at least. And then if we flip him to his hard side, he goes up to 13. And it looks like all his stuff pretty much stays the same. Cool. Then we have our 4 schemes. So we're going to have become the President of the United States. 11 twists. Special rule. Once per turn, you may stack one of your non-gray heroes next to the scheme to earn 10 million votes for that hero. If you do, you may also send one of your gray heroes undercover as Secret Service. Twist. There's a villain in the banker streak. The mastermind vows to crush crime. And you stack this twist next to the mastermind as 10 million votes. Otherwise, you may discard 2 cards to counter negative advertising. Shuffle this twist back into the villain deck. Play another card from the deck. If you don't discard, stack this twist next to the mastermind as 10 million votes. Once per turn, you may stack one of your non-gray heroes next to it to earn it for that hero name. If you do, you may also send one of your gray heroes undercover as Secret Service. If there's a villain, you stack this next to the mastermind as mastermind's 10 million votes. Evil wins. When the mastermind is elected president by having 40 million votes, more votes than the highest voted hero. Okay, so it's weird how they, because they have 10 million votes, right? So basically, the villain has to try and get 4 more vote cards than the hero. So the thing is, you have to keep sending the same hero over to keep them votes up. So like when they have 2 or 3, you have to keep getting rid of the same extra hero. So you might just have to pick one hero as a collective, as a group, just to be like, okay, we're just not going to use, Hulk this turn. We're going to put him on, keep putting him. Everyone gets one. Just always put him over there unless you absolutely need this card. But then you can also do the undercover, which is kind of neat too. It's an interesting idea. We have subjugate the Earth with mega corporations. Set up twist, add an extra hero, 11 twist. Twist, put the hero from the HQ space under the bank into a mega corporate domination stack, matching its hero class off the board. Do the listing effects for that mega corporation. Strength, green globe. Each player discards a card with a recruit icon. For attack, you have instinct. You have Alchemix. Each player discards an Alchemix hero, or instinct hero or gains a wound. For covert, public eye. Each player discards 2 cards and then draws a card. For attack, demonics. Each player discards a card with an attack icon. Or for range, Stark Fujikawa, the villain in your victory pile, enters the city. Evil wins when Mega Corporation has 3 dominations. Put the hero from the HQ under the bank into the Mega Dom. Okay, and you get one of those. If there's an 11 twists, oh, okay. So you have to have 3 of the same hero class. Okay, I get it. So if the one under the bank is strength, then the green globe gets one of those. Once 3 strength heroes have been under the bank when you have a twist hit. So basically you have to kind of watch which ones are in which pile and be like, oh crap, green has strength, already has 2. I cannot have a strength hero in the bank, so you either have to get rid of it or buy it or something. Interesting. That's a neat way to do stuff. I like the little mini games to play at the thing. Befall Earth into a polluted wasteland. Setup, adding extra hero. 8 twists representing Toxic Sludge. Twist, put the Toxic Sludge under the HQ space. No space can have 2 sludges unless all spaces already have one. Special, to recruit a hero must pay 2 extra recruit for each Toxic Sludge under it. During your turn, if there are any sludge under the HQ, you may flush Toxic Sludge into the river. If you do, KO all the sludge and all heroes in those HQ spaces. Then each player gains a wound. Evil wins when the hero deck runs out, or there are 8 or more sludges in the HQ, or in the river KO pile. Interesting. So you can't even, if you don't want to lose, you can't KO all of them. At some point, you'll have to leave some in there. Otherwise, that's a neat little extra twist to it. It's also the third thing that said add an extra hero. We had 1 villain group and 2 twists now that want an extra hero. And then our last scheme is pull reality into cyberspace. Set up 7 twists representing cyberspace. They're very Ghost Rider one. Special skills. Enemies under cyberspace get +1 attack for each cyberspace on the board. They can be fought with any combination of attack and recruit. Twist 1 through 5. Put cyberspace above the rightmost city that isn't under the cyberspace. 6. Put this above the mastermind. 7. Evil wings. Interesting. So this is like, I like this one too because like the other ones kind of are like, you know, like this, you have to like, oh, I have to put this here, decide to get rid of this guy, decide to put a guy undercover, I have some things there, stop stuff. A little bit more like, I have things I have to kind of pay attention to do. This is kind of the same way, right? You have to watch what's under there, keep an eye on what's under there, watch what's in the HQ. This one, again, you have the sludge on there, you have to pay more kind of thing. It's not as aggressive that way, but you kind of have to watch what you're doing. But then this one's like a fairly simple one. I think it's like, hey, this is like almost like a beginner one. You want to throw it in. It's just like, hey, every time you get a twist, one of these spaces gets enemies and end up getting 1 extra attack. But now you can pay for them with recruit as well, so they're going to be easier to defeat. But the thing is, you just have to watch. Once it's 7, you lose. Once it's 6, you might have to like just rush. At that point, you know, rush against everyone, attack them. But since every card you play is going to pretty much end up going towards that, it should be easier. So this is a kind of a neat one for that fact. I did do a quick look up because, like I said, we had 1 villain group, and then we had 2 schemes now that had add an extra hero. We only have 5 in here. Which would have been cool, though, if I almost wish if they were going to do that, maybe they would have included a 6th hero, which would, again, obviously been Punisher 2099, Jack Gallows. He was, like, one of the main characters. That would have been cool if they added him as an extra one, but I looked to see if, like, in Secret Wars, which is mismatch of all his things, and one of them books was 2099, if they had him in there. So I didn't think they did, but I didn't see him at all. And I thought maybe that Spider-Man set with, like, a different Spidey 2099. Maybe it's like a Marvel Knights character or something. They didn't. So, unfortunately, yeah, there's no other character that ties directly to this. But hey, hopefully, I would honestly love to see, I'd love to see an extra 2099 set. They don't tend to go back to the same theming or the same type of thing for quite a while. Like, it took a while between Thor sets, Guardian of the Galaxy sets, Black Panther type sets, stuff like that. Ant-Man sets kind of took a while. And one was comic book, one was MCU. This could have almost benefited of been a bigger issue box, but they just did that. They just did the What If series, which is a bigger box, and then they did this one, which was a bigger box as well, or the Ant-Man one, which is a bigger box. So I don't think they wanted to do too many in a row, but this could have definitely used one more character at least. Could have been a bigger box, adding some of the other cool characters in there. I could see coming back to this set, this world, adding some more 2099 characters. I almost mean if they did Secret War, they haven't done a big box other than the What If, which I kind of is that combination between MCU and Illustrated weird thing. But if they get another big box at kind of like Dark City, where it's not quite a full core size set, but it has like a lot more characters, get another Secret Wars set would be kind of cool. Adding some more other characters from different realities, because then we could add some other different Ghost Riders, add some, like another different Ghost Rider from one of those series, add some alternate versions there, would be kind of neat. Or we could add, like, you know, other different character stuff. It'd be kind of cool. We'll see what happens. But that is $20.99. Again, they could do Exiles, which I'd love to see too. I'd love to get, you know, Blinked in that. But yeah, I love Age of Apocalypse. I love so many different alternate rallies I love to do, but there's so many other regular characters to do as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys later. Bye.